Welcome to the Robcast. I'm really excited about today's show. We've got the owner of Burrows Clothier, Blake Lennox, in the house today, and let's get into it.
It's the Robcast Podcast. He's with you for the next hour or 20 minutes. Who knows? Let's see how it goes. Here he is. It's Rob Raham.
So Blake, thanks a lot for being on the show today. Let's go. So right off the hop, it's something that everybody wears. We're all clothing involved. Was there something growing up that you realized this is something I got a little bit more interest in, or how did you get into this industry?
First of all, thanks for having me on.
Great to have you.
In terms of how I got into it, honestly, it started out as a high school job. Started out as just a couple of extra dollars.
Is this where we plug in the Appleby?
We could
Appleby
do
College?
that.
Okay, we'll get that through. Sorry.
That's an Oakville reference.
Yeah.
It started out as a high school job. Windexing, washing floors, folding clothes, doing all that.
Actually at Burrows?
At Burrows.
Okay.
I went to university, and I went to university only like an hour away. So I used to come back and forth on weekends, pick up some extra shifts.
Yeah.
And it kind of just escalated, and ended up putting together a business plan and taking out the previous owner in 2008.
2008. So you got to a point in it where you said, this is my life. This is what I'm comfortable with. And what was some of the attributes about the business style that you kind of got attracted to?
I think one of the biggest things was my first buying trip. I didn't really know. You see all this product come into the store nonstop.
Yeah.
How it's curated, how it's styled up, what pieces are supposed to go with one another. The customer can decide, how they want to wear it.
Yeah.
But going on your first buying trip and actually seeing how different brands put together a collection and how you can go in, personally curate it and bring it back to your market.
What are we talking? New York? Was what?
Mainly, yes. New York was my first one, and then going over to Europe is also another.
Is that part of the thing that brought you some excitement? Because that's really what the product they're bringing in. You got to know your own clientele, and what you're picking is what you think is going to sell. You got to take some risks, obviously, but is that one of the things that excites you about your business?
Absolutely. I don't necessarily. It's a risk, sure.
Yeah.
Most of the brands are setting the tones in terms of the styles and things like that, so you're pretty safe when you've got big brands behind you, let's call it. But certainly styles change, demographics change. So
I was going to ask you, you came in and you had a business that's been in Oakville for a significant amount of time, did things a certain way. Was there a challenge for you in switching to making it your own? Did you kind of follow the old and appease the old style? Or are you still maintaining it, the culture that was there?
I think there's a mix of both.
Okay.
In the first, let's call it 8 to 10 years, I was still learning, and I am still learning to this day.
Yeah, a good entrepreneur is always learning, right?
But I was young. I took a lot of advice from the previous owner, and we've certainly run it that way. But in the last few years, definitely putting my own spin on it. We've renovated the store, so we have a whole new look and feel in terms of the way the clothing's merchandised, and also the types of clothing that we're bringing in.
I was going to ask, I think a lot of people can relate to this, is, you can only go back 6-7 years and it was suit, tie, shoes, going to Toronto on the train, and that's changed, right? A lot of people working from home, but they're still called out. Professionals like me in real estate, there used to be the expectation you show up with a suit on. Now it's a little bit more of a more relaxed look, but you still have to look the part. Has that obviously changed your business and the way that you're doing things and buying things?
Absolutely. It's changed. We still surprisingly sell a large number of suits.
Yep.
There's weddings, there's funerals, there's always events like that, and
you got to have suits. You got to have 3-4 staple suits
for
right?
sure. And we're starting to see that come back a little bit more.
Okay.
But I think for a lot of guys, yes, we've sold a lot less ties in the last little while. And let's face it too, dressing in a suit is actually fairly easy for most guys. They put on a suit, they put on a shirt, maybe a tie, maybe something else, but you're in a one-piece outfit, let's call it.
Right.
Dressing smart casual.
It's not easy for everybody.
Is not easy.
No.
It takes a lot of thought process, and it takes, some help and some guidance, and we hope we can provide that for people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think part of it for some, like, there's a comfort level too that's come out of the suit, the rigidness of it, and I think the workplace has become a little bit more relaxed. I think they're into the fashion. Would you kind of agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see it. You've got sort of a younger group of guys, let's call it our age, that are in a business profession. They're looking at their senior counterparts who have worn the suits, worn the sports jackets. What's their new spin looking on
Right.
it? And I've had some pushback on things like this,
Yeah.
over shirt type idea. It might be too casual for their office right now, but maybe we'll see that in the next couple of years.
I mean, one of the biggest changes, like jeans. You never wore jeans to work, right? Like that was like, you're not showing up in a pair of Levi's and, but that obviously the fashion and the standard and the cuts have changed. And now it's almost common.
Absolutely. Jeans are almost everyone that comes into our store leaves with a pair of jeans, I would say, because they need them. They're a staple. They wear them all the time. They're wash and wear, easy to turn around. And yeah.
So walk me through the process, and someone who's I've always kind of cared about fashion, and I've kind of learned along the way, you got to start somewhere, and that can be kind of daunting. What are the key pieces you need? I guess it depends on your work. But then as you move forward, I think the biggest thing is the relationship with your clothier, and what can we add, right? Is that kind of how you formulate the business with people that walk in? Is you got to hear what they were looking for, what their job is, and then you kind of work with them along the way to kind of upgrade their whole wardrobe?
Absolutely. I think you just hit the nail on the head where we have to listen. So they walk in, unless they're coming in and they're browsing with a coffee in their hand.
Yeah.
Most people come into the store and they're asking a pretty direct question of, this is what I've been told to wear.
Yeah.
This is kind of my laundry list of what I need. And then I think it's about exactly feeling that person out, having them try on some different things that they wouldn't have thought of.
Yep.
And hopefully it's the right thing for them, and sometimes it's not. But
Right.
but that's where you need to get a feel and a vibe from your clothier.
Yeah.
Like your barber, like your real estate agent.
100%.
You've got to jive with
it's a
somebody.
relationship of trust, right? That they get you,
Absolutely.
right? So, Blake, I understand that the people watching understand that the bricks and mortar business is a challenge these days. And you have this very infamous location, downtown Oakville, right beside St. George's. Everyone knows where you are. So that comes with a lot of positives. So I'm kind of interested, what comes with the positive being downtown Oakville, and if there's any challenges of being there as well?
I think there's a lot of positives to downtown Oakville. We went through a rough patch there where there was some construction.
Yeah.
Then we had a pandemic. So there's a bunch of different things there. But downtown Oakville has come out of it stronger than ever.
Okay.
The renovation looks great. I think the walkability of downtown Oakville is great. It is a tourist destination now. So people are coming from all over on evenings and weekends and things like that. Because really what we have down there is a whole bunch of independent businesses that are unique. And that's kind of an interesting thing. When you go to other small towns, even big towns, you do come back to Oakville and you have to look at it and say, we've got a really special place here.
Boy, this is part of this show, is that the corporations have taken over with the large big box and Amazons. The idea that what separates a smaller town is their businesses and the uniqueness of them, the mom and pop shops. And I think that's where you're holding on to something very special there, and that's what makes downtown. I totally agree with you. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, we want to be able to provide men's clothing, high-end men's clothing, certain brands and that to the Oakville area. There's tons of people in this area that do work downtown Toronto, that shop downtown Toronto. But I'll tell you what, even during the pandemic, when we were able to be open,
Yep.
the number of guys that were coming in and shopping with us that would normally have been shopping downtown Toronto,
yeah.
they just didn't have the chance because, well, now we can talk about operating hours, and maybe
Sure.
that's a bit of maybe a bit of a negative thing of running a store on an independent strip of businesses.
Right.
Is that we don't have unified hours of operation for everybody. So, not everybody's open at the same time. I might be one of them as well that
Yeah.
closes a little bit earlier.
So you find that kind of hinders sometimes? Like if it's not 9 to 5, it's not 9 to 9, it's
Certainly. I mean, we used to be open from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m.
right.
Not a whole lot happened until at 9 p.m. So we cut it back to 8 p.m.
Right.
Not a whole lot happened. Cut it to 7, cut it to 6. And it kept going that way. I think now we're in a very strong situation. We need to push forward and start extending these hours.
Are you looking to extend again? Do you find you're getting
Absolutely.
more walking traffic down there?
Absolutely.
Do you think it's
And
more
just-
seasonal in terms of winter versus is it just that people are coming down because of weather?
Well, and that's just it. It's seasonal, and but we have to kind of maintain a pretty standard hour of operation because otherwise people
The
get
expectation
confused.
of it, right? Yeah.
I've tried the seasonal thing, and it's
I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of clients in most stores in your situation do where it's more personal and you're booking appointments, right? Right on your website, you can see, call us, book an appointment for your own. So I think that's a nice personal touch on service, which is what you're based on. You know, with the challenges of Amazon and all these kind of online presences and, you know, they ship it out to you, you try it on. I mean, have you seen that impact you within your business? Or are you kind of holding on to something special that people still value?
touch wood. I think we're still, exactly as you put it, holding on to something people value. There's a lot of people, we have entered into the online selling. It's worked. It's worked in a lot of different areas. However, I find most people want to come in and try it on.
Touch,
still.
feel.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no doubt with certain products, even with me, I know my shirt size, and if something pops up and then an email comes from my clothier, or you send me an email and say, hey, Rob, these are 25 off, I can go bing, bang, boom, I can know the colors, right? So is that something that's working for you online? Is that the situation?
Yes, absolutely. You know, there's denim, there's shoes. You're not really seeing suits and sports jackets. That's more of a personal touch, and you want somebody to guide you into the right fit and to, you know, have those extra tweaks of tailoring.
Right.
You don't get that service when you're, you know, packing it in a box and sending it to the guy's house. So
yeah, exactly.
all we're looking for is who's out there that hasn't shopped with us, that gets exposed to our website, gives us a shot for the first time, likes what they get, and then we can get them into the store.
Any small business, it's always a challenge to get yourself out there. Even with all the mediums, you can sometimes get lost. With, you know, is it Instagram account? Is it Facebook boosting? Was there something that you have found that's kind of worked for you? Even email blast to clients? Is it word of mouth, or is it just even the street? Where do you find you're gaining most business from in a downtown location, or are they two separate things?
A lot of our business does come from our own internal e-blasts and things like that. But you need to branch out. You need to have more people. So we have been putting way more of a focus into Instagram and social media. Obviously, a cost benefit to that as opposed to, you know, magazines and things like that.
Yeah.
So definitely a boost there, and, you know, Google AdWords and really focusing on Oakville.
I was going to ask you because I do remember certain stores and more of, I think it's losing it, like the magazines, they put out their seasonal. Is that something Burrows does still? Have you moved more to an online spot? Or are you trying to find the mix in between there?
We moved almost strictly online
Okay.
A number of years ago, actually.
Yeah.
So, you know, print is expensive. It's beautiful to have. It's beautiful to have in your hands.
Yeah.
But we just found that going more of an online and digital catalog was a better
People are
route
on
for
their
us.
phones, right? They're not sitting at the mailbox anymore waiting for the things to come in, if they're even getting them at all, right?
They're getting text message marketing, email marketing.
Okay.
And that's something you have to be sensitive of too. I mean, I know for myself, I get a ton of different emails.
Yeah.
So we try to do it every 2 weeks, have something substantial in there. We just sent out one today that was denim specific. So really honing in on either a brand or a category and saying, hey, this is what we have in denim right now, and making it a focus.
Yeah. So, you know, there's some of the positives, some of the negatives about being in downtown. Obviously, rent's a challenge for everyone in balancing their staff. You kind of pushed through at a time and opened up Burrows Too. So tell me about the thought process behind that and what you were kind of trying to accomplish with that second location.
So I have to take you back a little bit to the road reconstruction. So when they closed down Lakeshore, they did it in 2 different phases. Burrows was going to be part of that first phase. So at the time, what I decided to do was I was looking around. There was all kinds of vacancies in downtown Oakville.
Yep.
If you remember that,
of course, yeah.
It was not
a ghost town.
It was a ghost town. It wasn't great. So I found a vacant spot on the other side of phase 1
cutoff
construction.
line. What was it? Church? I can't remember the cutoff.
Trafalgar.
Okay.
Trafalgar. So just on the other side of Trafalgar, I found a spot. It had holes in the walls. It had wires coming down.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the landlord and I said, I would take this from you for 4 months. And we rented that place for 4 months, and we ran an outlet in there. So we had, let's call it 10 years worth of some product that's all good product, but you have odds and ends, and one of this and one of that.
Yeah.
And we ran an outlet, and that enabled us to run a really clean and lean operating business at Burrows, while also having some cash flow coming in from inventory where you had a little bit more traffic.
So you pivoted quickly, simply with the logistics of the road in downtown, because they knew it was coming. And so you made a quick pivot, and obviously it's worked out really well. It's still there.
Yes, so I closed down the outlet, and then at the time, unfortunately, we lost a couple of other menswear stores in the area.
Long time.
Art Lee was there for over 60 years. M for Men was over for 20 years. So there's been some other clothiers in downtown Oakville. At the time, they were wrapping things up, and I started getting phone calls from suppliers to say, hey, we have a vacancy in Oakville. And here I am about to give the keys back to the landlord of this place, and I was thinking, I think I can open a second store and carry these other brands, because people are buying these brands down here. Where are they going to go?
Where are they going to go? Yeah. So to even just be able to pick off of them closing it was an opportunity that you saw.
And then we also just leveraged our own brand awareness in Burrows Clothiers. Like you said, we've been there since 1976. So a little bit of a spin-off and trying to make it a little bit younger, a different vibe in there. And that's how Burrows Too started.
Did you find you were able to, that the Art Lee, kind of some of the, I would say more of the old school, generations of Oakville men would be coming into there? Were you able to capitalize on them, do you think, a little bit from the product you were selling?
Absolutely. I mean, guys are specific, guys like particular brands.
They're loyal.
They know what fits to them. They're loyal. So as heartbreaking as it was for their clothier to shut down and close up, if we were carrying on with that brand, and again, that comes down to our buying and the fits and the cuts that we buy from those brands, that's what we were trying to provide for those customers. We want to keep them in Oakville.
So you mentioned about downtown Oakville, and we're coming into like the best time of year for you guys in the storefronts. Like, this is your time. Are you foreseeing anything different, or the way you're approaching it? You mentioned kind of longer hours. Are you looking at this season as let's really take advantage of this spring and summer season?
Absolutely, it's a huge important season for us. I have a freshly renovated shop at Burrows Clothiers.
Tell us about I wanted to mention that. Like, why did you? What did you feel the need to do so?
So the upstairs of that shop, the last time it was renovated was probably in 1990, 91.
Okay.
And it actually it looked great, but retail has changed, and retail continues to change. So where I had product upstairs that everybody could see, we might have 150 white shirts in stock. You as the customer don't need to see that.
Right.
There only needs to be one or two out on display, and let's make it a cleaner, more luxe look and environment for people to shop.
Yeah, exactly. And did you find you got the result?
Absolutely. It looks fantastic.
Awesome. So when we're looking at, I know the BIA in downtown is there to help. They're there to represent you. Are there things that you see that could be maybe different, like moving forward? I mean, they used to have all these events, but the events that they put now are very aggressive, bringing tens of thousands of people in. Are there ideas within the BIA that you're hearing or involved with that are trying to promote businesses downtown Oakville and get more people to come downtown Oakville?
I think the BIA is doing a great job.
Yeah.
I know they had to make a couple of tough and difficult decisions, like Midnight Madness for one.
Yeah.
They used to bring in 100,000 people, but that event, whether you knew it or not, was costing them north of $80,000 or something like that. So they were putting a large amount of their budget out there for one night. And it was a great night. That changed, though. It used to be 10, 15 years ago, we used to get guys coming in, they were buying their suits. You're on sale that time of the year. It was fun. They've had a couple of drinks. They're going to come in and buy something.
It was loose.
It's become a lot younger, and it's just, it hasn't been our clientele over those past few years. So we started to notice, too, that it was a changing event.
Yeah.
I think what the BIA has done is they've put those dollars into some beautification. So you've got nicer flowers. In the wintertime, they're doing extra snow shoveling, extra, all that type of stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, we definitely need some newness and some new events to come into the area.
Yeah,
too.
I would agree. So obviously being downtown Oakville comes with challenges. Is there one thing that you could say, with all the positive you've mentioned in the show about being downtown Oakville, is there one thing that kind of always is a hindrance to you and your clients that may be wanting to come and see you at your storefront?
Yes, it has to be parking.
Yeah.
As I said, and we'll push on the positive again, but the beautification looks great. The sidewalks look great. But we already lacked parking before the renovation, and now we've lost spots to EV vehicles, to larger, larger curbs.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Wider sidewalks, right? Yeah.
We've actually lost parking in downtown Oakville, and it is an issue.
It's kind of a catch-22, right? You want people to come down there. You widen the sidewalks to allow people to walk on them, but they can't get down there.
Yeah.
Right?
And the amount of customers, too, just for something small, right? They just want to pick up something. They want to drive by, pick up their alterations, whatever it might be. So we find ourselves doing a ton of that. We're running out to Robinson. We're running out to Lakeshore. That's our personalized service that we do. And we hope that other businesses in downtown Oakville offer that as well and try to do that. But we have to do something about it because, there's parking garages that are getting closed down, that are, need renovating. We park in a underground parking garage, and that's great.
Yep.
But you need your customers to be able to be out there.
To have access to it. I mean,
park easy.
I will admittedly, our office is right around the corner from you, so we face the same problems. We have over 20 agents in the office right now. Try having a staff meeting on a Friday morning downtown Oakville. It's literally impossible. People are showing up 15 minutes late. And so that is certainly one of the challenges that we face.
It is. It's a challenge that we face because, we are a fantastic outdoor eclectic mall at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And where we're losing people to is to those malls. They go there, there's free parking, there's gigantic
Come
parking
and go
spots.
easy. Yep.
Come and go easy, and weather's not a factor, all that bit.
I'm guilty. I will admit there's a time I'm looking for something. I drive around the block once, no parking. I'll give it one more go, and I'm like, forget it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many times
day.
can I circle this block or just come back another day, right? So that is a huge hindrance to businesses downtown. And the idea of being where the population should be flooding to, there's got to be other ideas the town can come up with to help.
Yes.
Even if it's shuttling, like a shuttle point.
Yeah.
Right? You use the GO train stations and the GO train spots, right, on the weeknights.
I know they do that for events and things. Like they
Yep.
used to do that for Midnight Madness, and I think that used to be a big success.
For sure.
Yeah, park up here. We'll shuttle you down for free.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an idea.
Something that we can maybe bring to the board together. So one of the last things I want to touch base with you, I think it's really important for all the people watching here, Blake, is, you've had you're a great success story with your store, 2 stores in Oakville. What advice would you give to anyone who's watching this, who is looking at kind of opening up the bricks and mortar and going down that path? Is there some secret sauce or advice you would give to them as they're going down this road?
Yeah, I think, first of all, downtown Oakville is a great place to run, own, operate a business. The clientele are fantastic, but they're not dummies either. So you've got to be educated in what you're selling, and they want to go to somebody who knows what they're talking about, who's educated and who's passionate on what they do.
Makes sense. Blake, a lot of great information. Really appreciate you being here today. It brings us to our point of the segment. It's the rapid ask questions. Blake, I hope you're ready for this. Number 1, if you're sitting on death row, what's your last meal?
Pepperoni pizza.
Straight up? Is there from a certain spot?
Pizza Pienza.
Pizza Pienza, good spot. If you could travel anywhere in the world, you're off work for a week, where are you going?
Italy.
Italy. God, I love Italy. Let's pull it back to a little bit more of the hobbyist. Let's get to know you a bit better. If you had the afternoon off, I think I know where this is going, and you could do anything you wanted, what are you doing as a sport or a hobby?
Used to be the golf course, but I'm spending a bit more time on the hard court tennis court.
Is it getting into the tennis?
Absolutely.
I like that. If you were to sit down with anyone, dead or alive, for dinner to discuss what they did, who would that person be?
Might go with Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln.
We share the same birthday, so.
Interesting. You've had a great day at work, successful day, you're jumping in the car, put the sunroof back. What music are you listening to?
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, man, I love it. Blake, thanks again for being on the show. We appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for another episode of the Robcast.